The Vengeful Luna. Episode 1. Ganon, the steering wheel is cool beneath my palms as I navigate the forested road. Trees, tall and sturdy, flank the path. In the passenger seat, Abby's outline is motionless against the window, her reflection ghostly as she watches the world speeding by. I steal a glance in her direction, noting the distant look that clouds her eyes dulled by shadows I cannot chase away. The silence between us isn't empty, it's laden with the weight of unsaid words, echoes of her pain that neither of us can voice. I grip the wheel a tad tighter, my knuckles betraying the concern etched within me. I can tell she's lost in her thoughts, probably replaying the horrors she's endured. It's why I'm doing this, taking her away from the castle, from all the memories that haunt her. She needs this break, a chance to breathe, even if she doesn't realize it yet. We're heading to a secluded cabin I know about, a place used as a safe house in case of emergencies. It's far from everything, surrounded by nothing but nature. I figure it's the perfect spot for Abby to find some peace, even if it's just for a little while. Almost there, I murmur, more to myself than to Abby, though I hope the words might bring her back to the present. The tires crunch over the gravel as I pull into the last grocery store before we head out to the cabin. Abby, however, refuses to come in with me and waits in the car. The bell above the grocery store door jingles as I push it open, stepping into the muted fluorescent lights that flicker, casting long shadows between the aisles. The familiar scent of polished floors and fresh produce greets me. I grab a basket. Each item found its way into the basket with a soft thud: bread, cheese, cans of soup. My mind, however, lingers on Abby's quiet presence waiting in the car. When I passed the candy aisle, a flash of red catches my eye. I pause, my gaze fixing on the strawberry cloud candies snug between bags of chocolate. They are her favorite, little sugary puffs that might sweeten the bitterness life had dealt her lately, or so I hope. I pick up 2 bags, tossing them into the basket. 10 minutes later, the cabin comes into view. As we draw nearer, I steal a glance at Abby. Her eyes wide and watchful, beautiful and wary. Abby, I break the silence as I park the car, you're safe with me. I turn off the engine, letting the weight of assurance settle over my words. There's no one around for miles. This is a safe place. Her eyes flicker to mine, searching for the truth in them, seeking the promise of safety I desperately want to give her. I reach into the back to retrieve the groceries. Stepping out of the car, I close the door with a soft thud, studying Abby. She nods in response to my promise, her lips caught between her teeth, betraying her nerves. Together, we climb the steps, and I unlock the door. The air inside is still cold enough to make Abby wrap her arms around herself. Without hesitation, I slip off my jacket and place it over her slender shoulders, the fabric swallowing her frame. Let me get some wood for the fire, I say, moving toward the pile of logs stacked by the hearth. I'll need to chop more up. This won't last the night. Kneeling, I can feel the weight of her gaze on me. I turn back to see her perched delicately on the edge of the rustic bed, the room's centerpiece crafted from thick, interlocking logs. Only one bed. Her inquiry is faint, almost lost in the vast silence that fills the space between us. Her heartbeat is a rapid flutter, an undercurrent of fear I can sense as surely as the chill in the air. It pulls at something deep within me, a desire to protect, to soothe her. Abby, I begin my resolve firm, you take the bed. I'll be fine on the couch. I move closer, the floorboards creaking underfoot as I approach her. The cabin seems to close in around us, the simplicity of the space magnifying her unease. My fingers find her chin, lifting it gently so that her eyes, wide and brimming with unshed fears, can meet mine. Have I ever given you a reason to fear me? My question hangs in the air for a moment. In the silence that follows, she offers me the barest shake of her head. That small gesture, devoid of words yet heavy with meaning, unties a knot in my chest, releasing a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. Then don't start now, I tell her. I'll sleep on the couch. Abby's gaze drops to her trembling fingers, interlocked and resting on her lap. I observe the subtle shift in her posture, the slight nod that is her response, a silent acceptance of the arrangement. The room grows quiet, save for the settling of the old wooden beams and the distant whisper of wind through the pines outside. I watch as she draws a deep breath, seeming to gather the scattered pieces of herself, finding some measure of control. I need to gather more wood. I'll be outside, I tell her. Stepping into the crisp air, I let the screen door close gently behind me, its soft click punctuates the silence within. The axe rests in the same place I left it months ago, against the chopping block, its handle roughened from years of use. I roll up my sleeves, feeling the chill bite at my skin as I grip the wooden handle. Grabbing a log, I set to work. Each swing is a release of pent-up tension, the blade splitting through the logs with satisfying thuds that echo in the quiet forest clearing. With every piece of wood I stack, my thoughts drift back to Abby and I lose myself in the task. The muscles in my arms burn with exertion, mirroring the ache in my chest for her suffering. She needs time and space. The scent of pine needles and freshly split wood mingles in the air, a natural balm to the senses. I've always loved being outdoors. I glance towards the cabin when I hear movement inside the large cabin. Abby standing on the porch, I tug Gannon's jacket closer around me, feeling a chill despite the sun. The sound of the axe hitting wood punctuates the surrounding silence. Curiosity gets the better of me, and I step forward to see Gannon working, his back glistening with sweat under the effort, his shirt discarded somewhere out of sight. A huge pile of wood is already chopped, and I can't help but let my eyes wander over his muscular body, noticing scars that mar his chest. I've never seen him like this, so focused, so captivating. I lean over the porch rail, where curls of wood shavings lay strewn about like the aftermath of a silent storm. There appears to be a method to his movements: raise, swing, impact, a dance of strength and purpose that left his broad back shining with sweat. The sharp lines of muscle shift across his torso with every movement, drawing my gaze in a way that felt both invasive and admiring. Scars lace his skin, etched into the tanned flesh of his chest. A flush of embarrassment warms my cheeks when he turns suddenly, catching me in the act of staring. My eyes dart away, seeking the wooden steps as I descend and perch on the top one, hugging myself tighter, trying to stop the cold chill seeping into me. "Come here," Gannon's voice breaks the silence, soft yet somehow reaching me clearly. I hesitate, swallowing hard as I glance up at him. The world around us feels almost unnaturally quiet. He gestures for me to come closer with a finger to his lips, signaling me to be quiet. With reluctance, I stand and walk towards him, and he pulls me close by the waist, pointing towards something in the trees. I follow his gaze to spot a mother deer and her baby. We watch in silence until the wind shifts and the mother's head snaps towards us, her and the baby darting away through the trees. A smile finds its way to my lips, a rarity these days, and I look up at Gannon, who brushes my hair behind my ear with a gentle touch. Finally, a smile, he says, his voice warm. See, there is good, Abby. You just need to find it. After watching the deer disappear, Gannon starts gathering the wood, and we head inside. He gets the fire going. The warmth from the freshly kindled fire wraps around me as Gannon painstakingly stacks the last few logs beside the hearth. The glow illuminates his features, casting shadows that play upon the rugged lines of his face. He catches my gaze. "Did you see the bathroom?" he asks suddenly, an undercurrent of eagerness in his voice. I shake my head, curiosity tickling the edges of my wariness. His hand finds mine, calloused and warm, and with gentle force, he leads me down the hallway. The door swings open to reveal a space bathed in soft light, the centerpiece being a vast spa bath sitting beneath a huge skylight. My breath escapes in a hushed gasp, but the awe quickly turns sour as my eyes catch the unavoidable reflection in the mirror. A shiver claws up my spine, and the room seems to close in around me. My scars, usually hidden beneath layers of fabric, peek out, reminding me this is just the illusion of safety. "Abby." Gannon's voice pulls at me, laced with concern. Panic blooms in my chest, wild and desperate to escape. I start to retreat, every muscle tensing to rush out, but his hands are there, firm on my hips, halting my movement. "You will not hide here," he says, a command woven with the gentleness of his voice. My head shakes involuntarily. The thought of confronting my marred reflection, the visual of my fractured past, is unbearable. Gannon seems to sense the turmoil within me. He slides the jacket from my shoulders and presses a reassuring kiss to the exposed skin on my shoulder. His fingers brush the hem of my blouse, inching towards the ghosts that haunt my flesh and my mind. "I don't want to see," I whisper. His touch pauses, and for a heartbeat as his eyes dart to mine. "Then close your eyes. I'll tell you what I see," Gannon murmurs, his voice soft as a feather drifting through the air. It's almost too much, that voice, carrying with it the promise of an acceptance I've never dared to give myself. Tears brim at the edges of my eyes. My breath catches in my chest, my heart pounding against my ribs like a hummingbird's wings. I nod, a mere dip of my chin, and let my eyelids fall. Darkness cradles me, and I'm grateful for it. Grateful not to witness the slow reveal of my damaged skin, the map of my pain laid out for him to see. As Gannon's hands slide over the fabric of my clothing, every touch is a whisper against my fears. His fingers graze the blackened mark on my neck, and a sharp intake of breath escapes me. The memory of fire licking at my flesh rushes back. I hate that mark and how much control it has over me. I despise what it represents. But then, there's Gannon again, his presence a balm, his voice pulling me from the confines of my mind. "I see a woman who doesn't know how beautiful she is," he says, and the warmth of his breath tickles my ear. "Her scars are not something to hide. His tone reverberates with conviction, a stark contrast to the quiver that threatens to break through my resolve. They tell a story of what she's overcome. Ganon's touch is careful and reverent, as if he knows he's not just peeling away layers of clothing but layers of my past. I've overcome nothing, I whisper back, my voice shattering the silence. That's what you think, he replies. His hands pause on the small of my back, warm and steady. The air between us charges with something unnamed, a current that buzzes through my veins, filling spaces hollowed out by years of self-loathing. And for a moment, just a fleeting moment, I allow myself to believe him. With his hands on me and his voice a soft caress at my ear, hope flickers a delicate flame in the space that holds my fears. Hope feels dangerous to me. It threatens the walls I've built, the safe cocoon of darkness where I've hidden. Yet here, in this sliver of time, I cling to it, and the possibility that there might be beauty in the scars. Strength in the pain, and a future where I see myself through eyes not clouded by the ashes of my past. As Ganon continues, his voice is a gentle caress in the silence of the room. This lash here, he continues, his fingers hovering over a scar, it tells me you've faced unimaginable horrors and yet, you've emerged stronger. Your strength is breathtaking. That's not strength, Ganon, I murmur. Really, because all I see is a woman who is still alive despite everything she has been through. I shake my head, yet he ignores me. These bite marks, he says, his voice filled with reverence, they're proof of the battles you've survived. You're a survivor, Abby, in the truest sense. Your eyes, he marvels, despite the darkness they've seen, they hold a light that's purely yours. A reminder that there's beauty even in pain. Your hands, he notes, gently taking them in his, they've clung to hope when despair seemed the only option, yet still, you fought. It doesn't matter whether it was for you or Azalea. You held on even though you preferred death. Tears blur my vision, I didn't hold on. If only he knew how many times I tried to end it, yet fate chose torture, not freedom for me. This mark on your neck, he murmurs, while it might seem a reminder of Cade, but to me, it's a reminder that not even a mate bond can get between me loving you. You've been to back, yet here you are, Abby. Don't let what they did to you be the only way you see yourself. That's easy for him to say, all I see is them when I look in a mirror. Your heart, he says, his voice barely above a whisper, it's seen the depths of human cruelty, yet it's filled with an unparalleled capacity for love and forgiveness. It's the most beautiful thing about you. And your soul, Abby, he concludes, despite being fractured by torment, it's not dimmed. It's tragically beautiful, and there's nothing more captivating than that. Nothing more captivating than you. A lump forms in my throat at his words. He must be deluded to think I am the least bit captivating. I'm frightening, yes, but certainly not captivating. The evening unfolds with a gravity that weighs heavily on my heart. Abby sits across from me, her usually radiant face now clouded with doubt and self-loathing. I know she doesn't believe my words, the compliments that I bestow upon her seem to dissolve before they can truly reach her heart. But I'm determined, resolved to remind her every day of the beauty I see in her until she sees it in herself. Still, I can't help but feel a pang of sadness as I watch her pick at her fingers. I wish she could see herself through my eyes, see the way her laughter lights up a room, the way her eyes sparkle when she talks about her passions, the way her heart is so full of love for others. But tonight, she is lost in her own darkness, unable to see the light that shines within her. And so, I continue to speak words of love and admiration, hoping that someday she will believe them and see herself as the beautiful, deserving woman that she truly is. As the sun dips, leaving the sky draped in darkness, I prepare the spa bath, adding oils that fill the room with a soothing scent. With a deep breath, I shed my clothes but keep my boxer shorts on, understanding Abby's fragile state and not wanting to alarm her further. Gently, I lead her into the warm water, positioning her between my legs. The moment her back meets my chest, she shudders, a gasp escaping her lips as her body goes rigid in my embrace. I reach for the soap, intent on washing her, but she stops me, her hands trembling as they grip my wrist to stop me. "I will never hurt you," I whisper, my voice laced with a sincerity born from the depths of my soul. "I would rather rip out my own heart than ever hurt you." Her hand trembles but eventually loosens its grip as I move the soap over her skin, carefully avoiding the areas that might trigger her. After a few moments, her hand falls limply into the water, and she allows me to clean her, though I meticulously avoid touching her in any way that might cause distress. Next, I shampoo her hair, my fingers working gently through the strands, washing away the grime of the day. When we're done, we soak in the silence that blankets the room, the warmth of the water encasing us both until it gradually turns cold. With a sigh, I pull the plug, turn off the jets, and wrap her in a towel, leading her back to the room where the fire crackles invitingly. Abby quickly dresses and grabs a blanket, moving closer to the fire. She sits there, staring into the flames with a vacant expression that chills me to the bone. After a while sitting in silence, eventually, I decide to cook dinner. It's hard for me to sit still in the silence. As I cook in the kitchen, the aroma of sizzling steak fills the air. I call out to Abby, asking her how she likes her steak cooked, but there is no response. Concern gnaws at my insides as I peer around the corner to find her sitting in front of the fire, staring into its mesmerizing flames as if transfixed. Then, I see her hand outstretched toward the flames. "Abby!" I boom, and she jolts back to reality, her hand jerking back from the fire. I rush to her side, clutching her hands and turning them over to inspect for damage. Her fingertips are burned. "Why, Abby? Why would you do this?" I demand, my voice a mix of frustration and concern. She says nothing, her eyes brimming with unshed tears. I curse under my breath, dragging her to the sink to run her hands under cold water. "Where has my Abby gone? Why would you burn yourself?" I ask again, grabbing her face gently, forcing her to meet my gaze. Tears blur her eyes, and my heart breaks for her. I pull Abby into my arms, holding her tight against me as she sobs, her body shaking with the force of her emotions. I can feel her guilt radiating from her, and it breaks my heart to see her in such a state. As Abby's anguished cries fill the cabin, my heart shatters into a million pieces. "Pain is in your head," she tells me, her voice breaking. "Physical pain is nothing but this," she clutches her chest, "this inside me, it's unbearable. It hurts, Gannon. It's an ache that never stops. You say I'm good, but I'm angry. I'm so angry, Ganon. I want them to hurt like they hurt me. They can't hurt you anymore, Abby. They're dead, I try to remind her. But she breaks down even more, pulling at her hair, yanking it as if trying physically to remove her torment. They aren't dead, Ganon. Can't you see? They haunt me, she screams, her voice filled with despair. They live, Ganon, they live, she repeats, clutching her head, her memories haunting her in a way that makes me feel utterly helpless. Then, she starts chanting a call for Azalea, almost like she is repeating a mantra before she starts rambling. More than my life, more than my life, more than my life. But I don't want this life. She made me promise, Abby sobs, lost in her torment. In a panic, I let her go, my eyes darting around the room until they land on a knife in the kitchen. Snatching it, I move toward her with determination, thrusting the knife into her hand. That's right, more than my life, Abby. I press the knife, now clasped in her hand, against my heart. You want to end it, you end me too. Do you hear me? Abby's sobs turn into gasps of shock as I press the knife against my chest, daring her to end my life along with hers. She looks at me with wide, tear-filled eyes, and I can see the terror in her expression. Come on, Abby. Do it, I goad her, pushing the blade closer to my heart. End it all. Her grip tightens on the knife, trembling as she struggles with her emotions. Stop, she pleads, her voice cracking. You want it to stop? Then make it stop, I demand, my voice shaking with emotion. I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but I can't just stand by and watch Abby hurt herself anymore. For a moment, we stay frozen in that position, our bodies tense and our eyes locked. The tip of the knife presses against my chest, over my heart. My heart isn't worth beating if yours isn't. More than my life, I repeat her words back to her, my voice firm yet filled with an emotion I can barely contain. So, what's it gonna be? Are you going to kill me? Because I can't live without you. My heart only beats for you. Her lips quiver, tears streaming down her face as she looks at me, the knife trembling in her grasp. The weight of her decision hangs in the air between us, a palpable tension that threatens to consume us both. In this moment, I realize the depth of her pain, the darkness that she's been fighting alone. But she's not alone, not anymore. I'm here, willing to bear the burden of her pain, to stand by her side through the darkness until we find the light together. Abby, please, I whisper, my voice breaking with the intensity of my plea. I need you more than my life. We can get through this together. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, Abby lets out a sob and drops the knife to the floor. I can't, she cries out, falling to her knees as tears stream down her face. I can't do it. Without hesitation, I drop to the ground beside her and wrap my arms around her trembling form. It breaks my heart to see her like this, so broken and vulnerable. It's okay, I whisper soothingly into her hair as she clings to me for dear life. You're not alone, Abby. You'll never be alone again, I promise her, my voice steady. I love her, and I'll do whatever it takes to see her smile again, to see her realize how truly beautiful and strong she is. Azalea, 2 days have passed, and I never thought I would be so relieved for Kyson to be out of the castle. He has been driving me up the wall, constantly watching my every move and forcing vitamins down my throat. It has only been a week since we found out about the pregnancy, and he's already becoming overbearing. He had explained that 1 week in human pregnancy equated to 3 or 4 weeks for lichens. But if it's only been a week, I dread to think about what a fortnight will bring. Nevertheless, there is a silver lining to his absence. Abby will be returning tomorrow. The prospect of her company brings a welcome relief to the monotony of castle life, especially since Kyson had forbidden me from helping Peter, the stable boy, or assisting Clarice. I might die of boredom before he gets back. When I wake up to find him off on business, I feel relieved. This relief is short-lived, however, when I find out, he assigns me a babysitter in the form of Liam. Liam is, let's just say, eccentric. Despite his disturbing sense of humor, he has a way of entertaining Dustin and me, who doesn't seem to mind his presence either. "My queen," Liam greets as he walks into the room. I roll my eyes playfully and scoot to the edge of the bed upon seeing him enter. In his hands are the dreaded vitamins and a green, chunky-looking smoothie that Kyson has been making me drink 3 times a day. The concoction tastes absolutely dreadful. "Bottoms up," Liam says, holding out the glass of green sludge and the pills. "I think I'll pass on that," I reply with a smirk. "Your royal pain in the ass instructed me to ensure you drink this lovely concoction that looks like snot and baby, my queen," Liam says as if he is getting some sort of pleasure out of making me drink this. "It can't be that bad," he adds, thrusting the cup toward me. "Have you tasted it yourself?" I ask skeptically. "No, but I watched him make it before he left, and he was very insistent that you drink this lovely glass of vileness," Liam explains. "What he doesn't know won't hurt him or my stomach," I reply, cringing at the thought of the taste. "It's a flavor that's hard to forget." "Just take a sip, and I can say I witnessed you drinking it," Liam suggests. I raise an eyebrow at him. "He will have to pin me down to get me to drink that." "If you can stomach it, then I'll give it a try," I challenge. Liam shrugs and sighs, holding the glass up. "There's not much I haven't had in my mouth, my queen, but if it gets you to drink it, I'll have a little sippy sip," he says, bringing the glass to his lips. He tips it back, taking a mouthful. I watch as he struggles to swallow, covering his mouth with his fist as he gags and coughs dramatically. He forces it down, looking as though he is swallowing a golf ball, and appears visibly pained. Just as he continues sputtering, Dustin walks in carrying my breakfast tray. "Good God, that tastes worse than that prostitute I went down on," Liam gasps, shaking his head. Both Dustin and I recoil in disgust. "What? The woman could have told me. How was I to know she was a hooker, and I was her 15th client for the day?" he mumbles the last part. My face twists in disgust, and so does Dustin's. "We could have definitely gone without that information." "Wait, if she was a prostitute, how did you not know?" I ask, genuinely curious. To be fair, I was pretty drunk. I thought it was a hotel. Turns out, instead of a mint on my pillow, it had a woman, Liam explains, taking another sip of the drink as he rambled on. Suddenly, he heaves, spitting the green substance all over Dustin. Dustin tenses, his face covered in the repulsive liquid, while Liam drops the glass onto the tray Dustin is holding. Frantically, Liam digs into his pocket and pulls out a small glass bottle that fits in the palm of his hand. The potent scent tells me it's liquor. He quickly downs its contents, gulping it until the bottle is empty. "Ah, nasty," Liam said, wiping his mouth. I pressed my lips together, trying not to laugh at the horrified look on Dustin's face as he stood frozen in shock. Finally turning his head, Liam noticed that he had spat the drink all over Dustin and choked on his laughter before regaining his composure as an enraged Dustin glared at him. "Well, that shirt was ugly anyway." "All good. I'll get you cleaned up," Liam said nonchalantly, taking out a handkerchief to scrub Dustin's face. Dustin growled in frustration. "It's my uniform." "And you're wearing the same one," he snapped as Liam cleaned his shirt and face. "One sec," Liam said, licking the handkerchief wrapped around his finger before scrubbing at Dustin's chin. "They're good as new," Liam exclaims. "You did not just clean me with your spit," Dustin snarls. "Ah, come on, Dustin, not the worst part of me you have had on your face," Liam says, and Dustin's face turns bright red. He shoots Liam a look. "Liam!" Dustin snaps. "What? I was just saying," Liam shrugs. "Little sensitive this one," Liam says, sending me a wink. "Do you have no manners? She is the queen. You can't speak like, ah," he thrusts the tray at Liam before storming out. "Wonder what crawled up his ass, besides me, of course," Liam muses, watching Dustin leave. Unsure of how to respond, I simply shake my head and wander off to the bathroom, leaving Liam behind. After a quick shower and change of clothes, I feel refreshed and ready to find something to occupy my time. As Liam escorts me downstairs, the castle seems unusually quiet. Most of the guards had accompanied Kyson on a raid of a nearby pack, leaving only a handful behind to secure the castle, which is locked down like a fortress in his absence. "We could go for a walk in the gardens, my queen." "The king doesn't," Liam begins, but his sentence is cut short as he suddenly grabs my shoulder and pulls me back. Within seconds, he presses me against the wall, covering my mouth with his hand. My heart races, pounding erratically in my chest as I stare into Liam's eyes. I have never seen such a serious side of him, which makes me all the more worried. The playful man I have grown accustomed to is gone, replaced by a darker, more sinister version, alert and instinctual. His eyes flicker strangely, a sadistic gleam reflecting in them as they darken. I see his canines extended past his top lip. I hear Clarice's frantic voice echoes down the hall before the doors adjacent to the staircase burst open. Liam pushes me further behind him as men in armor flood the halls from every direction. My hands tremble as I cling to the back of Liam's shirt, wondering what is going on. Guns raised, 4 other men unmistakably lycans clad in suits enter the foyer. Clarice rushes in after them, her voice filled with anxiety. "May I ask what this is about, Mr. Crux?" Liam inquires, motioning for Clarice to join him with a subtle gesture of his hand. She hurries to his side, whispering something urgently. I catch only the tail end of her sentence, mentioning how the guards had been taken out. Nervously, she glances at me from behind Liam. He nods, but his eyes remain fixed on the armed men surrounding us. Azalea, the mind link crackles open as Liam desperately calls for the guards, his voice filled with urgency, increasing my heart rate and panic. But there is only silence in response. A disconcerting silence hangs heavy in the air, causing a knot of unease to form in the pit of their stomachs. Yet, despite the lack of any answer from the guards outside, Kyson opens the mind link, and his voice flits through our heads. "What is it?" Kyson asks, his voice laced with concern and a touch of apprehension. "The council is here. Get home. Now." Liam's voice comes through the link, tinged with a mix of frustration and desperation as his head turns, taking in all the council members and guns trained on us. "Don't let them in." "I am on my way," Kyson responds. "Too late." "Azalea. Get here, Kyson." "I am all that is left," Liam growls, his words laced with fierce protectiveness as he slams shut the mind link, cutting off any further communication. As Liam takes a deep breath to steady himself, he walks down with purposeful strides to confront the unwelcome visitors. Standing in front of me still, he pushes me further behind him. "How may I help you, gentlemen?" Liam asks, walking down to greet them. "We have had a complaint," the tallest member of the council states coldly, his voice dripping with authority and superiority. "So you thought you would break into the kingdom?" "The king isn't here, so I am sure we can reschedule," Liam retorts, a bit of his humor slipping back into his tone. The tall council member matches Kyson's height effortlessly, his obsidian eyes fixated on Liam with an unsettling gaze. He then peers behind Liam, his gaze finding me, and he stares at me curiously, giving the air a sniff. "Clarice, take the new girl upstairs," Liam commands, but the tall council member steps forward, causing Liam's hand to instinctively fall on his chest, a silent warning. The energy in the air shifts, crackling with tension as Clarice grabs my arm, pushing me up the stairs. The man's presence is foreboding, commanding attention and respect. He steps forward, disregarding Liam's attempt to redirect him. She remains. "We aren't to see the king but to find two women, an abbey and the queen." "As I said, the king isn't here, and neither is Abby, and neither is the queen," Liam growls, looking at the man whose gaze has not left me. His eyes then dart back and forth between the council member and the men surrounding him, their guns glinting ominously in the dim light when one presses against his chest. The man watching me tilts his head to the side. "Now that would be a lie because she reeks of the king's scent," he growls. "And as I said, the king is not here, so I will escort you off the premises, gentlemen." "No need to frighten everyone here," Liam retorts. Clarice's grip on my arm tightens, pulling me further away from the unfolding confrontation. Fear courses through my veins like venomous poison, constricting my thoughts and actions, making me sluggish, and I follow her when another voice fills the room. Just as Liam is about to make his next move, another voice cuts through the chaos, commanding attention and freezing everyone in their tracks. The sheer force behind it sends shivers down my spines. "She goes up those stairs, shoot him," and the woman, the voice echoes through the room, its authority leaving no room for argument. Clarice gasps, her eyes wide with terror as they meet mine, silently conveying the gravity of the situation to not move right now. "Clarice, take her upstairs," Liam orders, his voice filled with a dangerous edge. I swallow, turning my attention back to these men surrounding Liam. "What is this about?" I demand, and the man smirks as my command rolls over him but has no effect. He looks amused at my attempt. "If you would come with me, my queen," he says with a mocking tone, his words dripping with falseness. "She is not going anywhere with you," Liam snarls, stepping into the council member's path and placing a firm hand on his chest. The tension in the room intensifies as the other men surrounding Liam move closer, their guns pressing against him. A palpable sense of danger hangs in the air, threatening to explode at any moment. The men holding guns step aside to allow the other 3 men into my line of vision, all of them dressed impeccably in tailored suits. "You must be Azalea. I see you have met Mr. Crux. I am a council elder. My name is Denali," he says. This man, Denali, oozes authority and is clearly the one in charge. He smirks, his cold blue eyes looking up at me as he sweeps thick blonde hair from his face. He also speaks with a thick accent I can't quite place. "And this is my brother, Larkin," Denali says, motioning towards the man beside him in a tailored blue suit, his blonde hair tied neatly at the nape of his neck. Larkin possesses the same cruel, sharp features as Denali, a mirror image of him. "And this is Kendrick," he says, motioning to the last man who is missing an eye. A long, jagged scar stretches from his hairline to his chin, his lips twisted into a permanent snarl. He moves forward with an unsettling grace, his one-eyed gaze fixated on me with an intensity that sends shivers down my spine. He takes a step toward me, and Liam moved quickly, stepping into his path and grabbing the front of his suit jacket. "Touch her, and I will remove your other eye," Liam snarls, his words laced with a lethal promise. Kendrick responds with a snarl of his own. Denali intervenes quickly before the tension can escalate further. "No need for that, Liam. You are outnumbered. We are here for the rogue girl and the queen. There is no reason for things to turn messy," Denali states calmly, his voice carrying an air of authority that brooks no argument. "Not without the king present," Liam retorts, turning his attention squarely towards Denali. "We are well within our rights to enter. As council members, we have immunity into any pack, even the king's pack. We also have a warrant and an entire pack to back our claims. She will be given a chance to have her say, but for now, she must come with us," Denali states with an air of finality, his words leaving no room for negotiation. "What claims?" Liam demands. "There are only 2 laws that are upheld to this degree, Liam. You know that, so if you would follow me, Queen Azalea, we can settle this and bring the other girl," he says, motioning toward me. "Abby isn't here," I tell him. "Very well. This won't take long, we brought the truth serum, so it should be settled quickly," he says, motioning for his men. Liam growls, and all breaks loose. The tension in the room reaches its breaking point as the men surrounding Liam tighten their grip on their guns, their fingers itching to pull the trigger. A sudden racket of gunshots and chaos erupts, tearing through the air like thunder. Liam's body shifts in a blur of motion as he fights against an overwhelming number of guards. But my attention is torn away from the unfolding battle as Clarice grabs my arm, pulling me desperately up the stairs to safety amidst the confusion. The sound of gunfire and screams reverberates through the castle, haunting my every step. Panic courses through my veins as Clarice and I race away, searching for a hiding place. My heart pounds in my chest, my breaths coming in ragged gasps as I struggle to comprehend the magnitude of the situation. Kyson! I scream through the link, my voice filled with desperation and terror. An hour out, pull over. Kyson's voice crackles through the link. Hide. I will find you, he promises. I feel him shift through the bond just as Clarice stuffs me into an unfamiliar room. She looks around, and so do I as I hear footsteps. My entire body shakes, and I find myself in the forbidden room across from Kyson's old quarters. Stay here. I will lead them away, Clarice whispers urgently. Lock the door, she says, cracking the door open and peering out. I move to go after her when she slips out and shuts the door. I quickly lock the door and glance around toward the window. Hundreds of people stand out front the gates, and I step back so they won't see me. Where are you? Kyson says through the link. The room across from your old quarters, I tell him, watching in horror as I see Dustin lying unconscious on the cobble driveway along with a heap of guards. Men are handcuffing their hands behind their back, all of them unconscious with darts sticking out of them. I hear a barrage of yelling, without being able to clearly make out what they're hearing. Liam is being dragged out, fighting against his restraints, his body twisting and arching as he's forced to shift back. Multiple darts are in his back, legs, and neck when a guard wearing black camo lifts his gun and shoots him in the chest 3 times with more darts. His legs go out from under him and drench his entire body in blood. Just then, I hear a shrill scream, a female's scream. I watch petrified as Clarice is dragged out kicking and screaming with the 2 boys she had taken in. Denali wipes his face with a handkerchief as he walks out toward the gates when I spot her. It's her, the woman who stood watching after Cade was killed. She is attractive but haughty and menacing. Denali talks to her through the gate, though I can't make out what he's saying. 3 other men also stand off to the side, watching him before he turns around. The man with the missing eye wipes the blood off his face before snarling and kicking Liam in the stomach. My hands cover my mouth, and I am so consumed with fear that I've forgotten Kyson is still talking to me through the link. Azalea, he snaps. Denali turns around before reaching for a microphone from one of his guards. He turns to face the castle, bringing the microphone to his mouth. Queen Azalea, you have been summoned by the council, so you need to step outside, he says slowly. He looks up at the windows, and I remain back out of his line of vision. You have 2 minutes to step out, or we will use deadly force, beginning with. He looks around before one of the guards grabs Oliver. At this, Clarice loses it. She writhes free and lunges towards the guard when Mr. Crux punches her in the stomach, knocking her to the ground. 2 minutes or the rogue boy dies. Azalea. Kyson snaps at me. They're going to kill them if I don't, I whimper. Don't you dare. They have Oliver. Azalea, I am not far out. Remain where you are, Kyson says as I watch in horror as they push tiny Oliver to the ground on his knees. Mr. Crux pulls a pistol from inside his jacket and presses it to his head. 2 minutes Queen Azalea, I cannot kill any Leakin here but a rogue, even a child I have the authority to. I have to go, I tell Kyson. No, remain where you are, he orders and I grit my teeth. How far out? 20 minutes. It's too long, I tell him, forcing his command off. 1 minute, Denali calls over the microphone, and Oliver cringes away from the gun held to his head. Azalea. Kyson says, his panic smashing into me. Mr. Crux presses the gun to Oliver's temple, and I rush toward the window, throwing it open. Wait, I will come down, I scream to them. Mr. Crux lifts his head to look at me while Mr. Denali smirks. We thought you would change your mind. He nods toward some of his men, who race toward the castle. They will meet you at the foyer doors, Denali called through the microphone, and I nod, moving back inside the window. I glance around at the baby's room. One that was made for me had Kyson found me when my parents were killed. Yet it offers no protection for me now. Swallowing down the bile in my throat, I move toward the door and open it. Azalea, the moment I step out of the safety of the castle doors, I am surrounded and dragged out of the castle, my heart racing. I fear more for the life of my unborn child than my own. The guards have me in a tight hold, and I struggle against them as I am led to the front of the castle. Kyson's voice is constant in my head, urging me to stall them. His fear is potent, and I wonder what sort of history he has with the council that they would be daring enough to go against the Leaken King. Azalea, my queen. So lovely for you to join us, Denali purrs, causing my skin to crawl as he approaches closer. He clicks his fingers at one of his men, who shoves me toward the iron gates and handcuffs my wrists to the solid bars. My heart skips a beat as everyone takes a few steps back as they watch beyond the gate. Fear not. You will have your say. We just have a few questions for you. This is merely a precaution, Denali says, gripping the back of my neck to turn my face toward his. Precaution. I scoff, glaring up at him. You have me handcuffed and surrounded by your guards. I think that goes beyond a mere precaution. Denali's grip tightens on my neck, cutting off my air supply. Panic sets in as I struggle against my restraints, but it's no use. His hold is too strong. You are in no position to sass me, Queen Azalea, he growls, his face inches from mine. You may be the Leaken King's mate, but you are still a member of our council and are expected to follow our rules. I am not a member of your council, I shoot back, gasping for breath as his grip loosens slightly. But that is where you're wrong, even the king's mate is expected to uphold the laws of our people. Are you really that gutless that you had to wait for my mate to leave? I ask him, and he laughs sadistically. He steps away, and I can see Oliver kneeling next to Clarice, crying, huddled in Logan's arms. I turn my attention back to Denali, who sneers at me. It is a mere coincidence that the king wasn't home. We were sent the report and investigated, this is just a questioning. If that is all it is, why did you feel the need to take out my guards and handcuff me to a gate? I spit back at him. Because we are aware of the pact the guards hold, they will fight. We haven't hurt them, just made them more compliant, he states. What pact? I asked, a little confused. The king never told you, he asks, and I glance around at the crowd of onlookers watching me. Regardless, I am here to administer the serum, ask the questions, and choose punishment if necessary. 15 minutes, love. Keep stalling. Leave the link open, so I can hear what is going on. Help is coming, Kyson says in my head. I swallow when Mr. Crux approaches with a vial. Landeena people, head to the castle, your queen needs you, Kyson calls through the link. I don't have time to process his words. The town is a good 15 minutes away. What would the people do if they got here? What is this about? I ask, knowing full well by the woman standing on the other side of the gates watching me. Denali follows my gaze and motions for one of the guards to let her in. The gate opens beside me, and she steps inside, her heeled boots clinking on the stone driveway before they close it. She moves behind me and stops beside him, folding her arms across her chest. Cassandra, I snarl. So you do know each other, wonderful. Cassandra here says you commanded Abby to reject her husband, Alpha Cade, and made him accept the rejection. She also claims that you also stole the pack's future Luna, Denali says. That is not true. Abby tried rejecting him. He was abusing her, I tell Denali before glaring at Cassandra. With her help, I growl. That wasn't what I asked. I asked if you abused your power as the king's mate and broke a sacred law regarding mate bonds. As I said, he was abusing Abby. He assaulted her. And where is Abby to verify this? Denali asks, tilting his head toward me. He nods to Mr. Crux, who moves toward me with the vial. I clench my teeth together. Kyson. I rush through the mind link. Any minute, Kyson replies when Denali grabs my hair, ripping my head back while Mr. Crux pinches my cheeks, stuffing the vial in my mouth. Denali checks his watch while I cough and gag at its taste. Yet it tastes familiar in a way. It almost reminds me of Kyson. You can fight the effects, Kyson links to me. Focus, love, that serum is made from my blood. You can resist it. A minute or so goes past, and Mr. Crux nods to Denali. Did you command Luna Abby to reject her mate, Alpha Cade? Denali asks. I grit my teeth. Fear so palpable it made goosebumps rise on my skin as the urge to answer rolls through me, making my body tense. Nearly there, fight it, Kyson snarls when I hear a commotion outside the gates. Denali glances out the gates to the cobble road where Cade's pack stands. He waves some of his men to sort out whatever is happening, and they rush out the gate and down the road. Answer me, Denali demands. I don't know what Kyson had meant about fighting it. Fighting against it is causing me to break out into a sweat, my stomach twisting painfully. Is this bad for my baby? Yes, I gasp. Meanwhile, fighting breaks out outside the gates and down in the gully before the driveway. Denali looks toward the commotion outside the gates. Enough proof, bring the whip, he says, wandering off to talk to someone behind me. I look over my shoulder, twisting my neck to see what is going on behind me. I gulp when I see the barbed whip in the man's hand. Tell them I commanded you to, Kyson yells through the bond. I can't, I say. You can and will, you're pregnant Azalea, tell them I commanded you to. I try to open my mouth to lie, yet whatever the truth serum contains does not allow me to breathe a lie. Azalea. Kyson booms in my head. I choke on the words, trying to spit them. Don't you dare fight me. I'm sorry, love, I have no choice, he murmurs when I feel his command smash me through the bond and mind link. It rolls over me, causing crippling pain as he orders me to blame him. Kyson ordered me to do it, I blurt. Mr. Crux grips my face, and Denali comes back over. Excuse me? Denali asks. Say it again. Kyson commands through the bond. Sweat glistens on my skin and I feel like I'm going to be sick. The king ordered me to command them, I choke out, gasping for air. Denali and Mr. Crux look at each other before turning to Cassandra. Is what she says true? Denali asks her. She opens her mouth and closes it. Well. Denali snaps. I don't know. I only got there to see her command them both. What does it matter? She still did it, Cassandra says in her nasal voice. Good girl, Kyson says, letting the command slide off me. Azalea, Denali and Mr. Crux talk among themselves while Cassandra digs a pack of smokes out of her leather jacket. How could you, after everything you did to her? I ask Cassandra. She pops her hip, lighting a smoke before stepping closer. My husband is dead because of her. Your mate killed him. I now have to raise my kids without their father because of that piece. Cassandra spits at me. I growl, my canines slipping past my gums as anger courses through me. She turns to face the council members who are now whispering among themselves behind me. She still commanded them, but I have one more question before we proceed. I turn my head, and he steps closer. Did you know it was against the law to break a mate bond against their will? Denali asks. My brows furrow, wondering why he is asking. I fight the urge to answer instantly. Yes, I breathe. And you still did it? Denali asks. He was hurting her, so yes. Well then, regardless of whether the king commanded you, you knew better. Being his mate, you are capable of fighting his commands, therefore will be held accountable. Cassandra smirks at his words, puffing on her cigarette. What are they going to do to me? I asked Mr. Crux, who was still standing beside me. Though I already knew by the whip in Kendricks's hand. My heart raced a little faster when Mr. Crux started ripping the back of my dress open. You broke a sacred law, you may be the king's mate, but you abused your authority, so you will be punished 1,000 lashes, or until Cassandra deems fit, he chuckles. About time the king is held accountable for errors, Mr. Crux sneered. I swallowed and chuckled. Silly girl, just because you're the king's mate, that doesn't give you the power to break the law. He was abusing her, I scream at him. And where is your proof? Mr. Crux demands. Ask me, or is your truth serum, not 100%, I spit back at him. He grips my chin, pinching it tightly. Truth or not, you broke the law. We uphold it. We were looking for a reason to take him down, but if we can't, you will do, he laughs. Coward, I retort. Mr. Crux grips my hair, yanking my head back painfully. Oh, Kendrick will. He won't hold back, not after the king took his sight. I swallow, and my breathing becomes a little harsher. Your people are coming. Tell them who you are. It will buy you some time. I didn't want to risk it, but we have no choice. What? Your parents. I don't get a chance to listen to what he says when I feel the crack of the whip bite into my flesh, making me scream. Hooks slash up my spine and dig into my shoulder. My scream reverberates around the castle grounds when he rips them out. My knees buckle underneath me. My blood sprays across those on the other side of the fence when all breaks loose. Cade's pack starts running toward the fence, suddenly trying to get in. My knees drag across the ground from the force of the gate being pushed inward. I can't see past them to see what is happening and don't even care when the whip tears into me again. Gunshots ring out, and I hang limply in handcuffs, my wrist bent backward painfully and on the verge of snapping under my weight. I feel the barbs tear out of my skin, ripping my flesh away. My head feels too limp to hold upright and all I can think about is the pain radiating through my back when someone's head is shoved through the iron-barred gates beside me. I blink deliriously, finding it odd. How did it fit through the bars? Screams ring out loudly, but all I can do is blink at the man's head stuck between the bars. It takes me a few moments to realize that the bottom half of his body is missing. My head rolls to the side, and I see the men in armor backing up, guns trained down the driveway as they fire. I thought my eyes were deceiving me when I watch around 50 Lycans ripping into Cade's pack members and the council's men, ripping them limb from limb. People run everywhere to escape as chaos breaks loose. I can't tear my gaze away from the horrors on the other side of the gate, my eyes wide, and I feel sick to my stomach. Hearing screaming, I turn to find Cassandra. Her hands cup her mouth as she watches, helplessly, as her pack is torn to shreds. Suddenly I drop to the ground, and I don't even realize someone is uncuffing me. My body is limp as I stare around at the slaughter. Hands grab me, ripping me against someone's chest. My back arches as I try to get the pressure away from my back. Seconds later, the iron gates burst open. And there's a knife pressed to my throat by the person holding me. Out of the corner of my eyes, I see a group of Lycans stalking into the castle grounds. I am vaguely aware of Kyson talking to me, yet I cannot understand what he is trying to tell me. Get the car ready, Denali says. The Lycans circle us before dropping on their knees around us. The whole thing is surreal as I look around, trying to figure out what is happening, when I notice Dustin roll over as he starts to wake. Take so much as one step toward us, and I will kill her. You have all just interfered with the council. There are severe penalties for obstructing justice, Denali says, walking past me to address the Lycans kneeling. They growl and snarl, watching him. But the council members are all Lycan, and I feel his aura demanding them to submit, forcing them to remain where they were. Now, I am willing to let this slide, so back up, Denali ordered. She may be King Kyson's queen, but she will be held accountable for her actions, Denali snarls, causing Dustin to laugh maniacally. Denali turns his head to look at him as Dustin sits up, his arms still cuffed behind his back. He starts ripping at his handcuffs, once, twice, thrice, and I hear his wrists snap and shoulders dislocate before he rolls his shoulders, bringing his hands around to the front. Kendrick runs at him, but Dustin moves quickly, sweeping his legs out from under him and pivoting on his knee, so he was suddenly on Kendrick's back, his knee pressed to the back of the man's neck. And who are you? Let Kendrick up now, Mr. Crux growls, dropping me at Denali's feet. Dustin rebreaks his wrist before gripping Kendricks's hair and ripping his head back. No, wrong question, Denali. The question you should be asking is, who is Azalea? Does her name ring any bells to you? Dustin sneers. Azalea Denali towers over me, his gaze piercing and menacing. Meanwhile, Cassandra trembles behind him, clutching the back of his suit jacket for protection. With a forceful shove, Denali pushes her aside, causing her to stumble and fall onto the ground. A sharp shriek escapes her lips as she lands hard on her backside. Kendrick, desperate to intervene, attempts to shift his position underneath Dustin's knee. But before he can make a move, Dustin emits a low growl, grabbing Kendrick's head and twisting it forcefully towards him. The sight is too much for me to bear. My stomach churns, and I felt an overwhelming urge to vomit. As my body convulses, Dustin snaps Kendrick's neck with a sickening crack. Rising to his feet, he casually wipes his hands clean and removes the darts embedded in his legs and chest. Dustin's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "Does the name Azalea Landeena ring any bells for you?" he asks, his gaze shifting between Mr. Crux, Denali, and the other man named Larkin. I lay on the ground, my blood pooling around me, struggling to keep my eyes open as waves of dizziness washed over me. The presence of Kyson, growing closer by the moment, is the only thing keeping me from succumbing to unconsciousness. "The Landeenas are dead," Denali declares, though there is a slight falter in his usual confident demeanor. He's uncertain, his eyes darting between Dustin and me. I can't comprehend why my heritage matters to the Council or what significance it holds in this escalating confrontation. "Ask her who her mother is," Kyson's voice rings out, causing me to turn my head towards him. When our eyes meet, a feral growl escapes Kyson's lips, sending shivers down my spine. The lichens surrounding us instinctively step aside as Kyson storms through the gates, his gaze fixed on Denali. He approaches him with a predatory stride, treating him as nothing more than prey. With a swift motion, Kyson grips Denali's throat, cutting off his breath. "You dare enter my kingdom unannounced and attack my queen?" Kyson roars, his voice filled with fury. Denali struggles to breathe, clutching at Kyson's hands in a desperate attempt to free himself. "The law states we can enter," Denali chokes out, his face turning an alarming shade of purple as Kyson's grip tightens. Kyson glances at Dustin, who rushes towards me, pulling me up so that I am sitting upright. "Your laws are nothing, and you know it. She told you that I ordered her to command them, and yet you still laid your filthy paws on my mate," Kyson snarls. Mr. Crux reaches out, attempting to calm the situation. "Crux, I'll give you 2 seconds to correct that mistake," Kyson warns, causing Mr. Crux to hastily retract his hand and back away in surrender. Kyson locks eyes with him. "You will mind your tongue when speaking of my mate. Now, as I was saying, Denali, you are hereby sentenced for treason," Kyson growls, releasing his grip on Denali. The council member falls to the ground at Kyson's feet, gasping for air and clutching his throat. "Treason!" Larkin exclaims, rushing forward. However, upon meeting Kyson's fierce gaze, he freezes in his tracks. "Now, let me introduce my mate," Kyson declares, motioning towards Dustin. With great care, Dustin scoops up my bloodied body into his arms, cradling me against his chest. He crouches beside Denali, who lifts his head to meet my gaze, his face flushed and contorted with pain. Do you recognize those eyes, Denali? Kyson asks. Denali gulps, looking up at Kyson with a mixture of fear and recognition. You made the grave mistake of assuming my mate was just an ordinary Leaken. Now you will pay for your treason and attempted murder of Her Majesty Azalea Landeena, the rightful heir to the Landeena kingdom. I may be bound by council laws, but how is this possible? Denali interrupts, turning to his brother Larkin before seeking confirmation from Mr. Crux. That kingdom fell, Mr. Crux interjects, stepping forward. Yes, and now it rises, Kyson declares, motioning towards the lichens who are kneeling around us. A chorus of growls fill the air as they glared at the council elders. My vision starts to blur as my wounds continue to bleed, staining Dustin's clothes. Now, can anyone explain why the Landeena bloodline is exempt from the council's laws? Kyson demands, his gaze shifting between the three men. Denali swallows, rising to his hands and knees. Please show leniency, I had no knowledge of your identity, he pleads, gripping my arm in a feeble attempt to plead for mercy. But Kyson swiftly places his foot on Denali's shoulder, forcefully pushing him back. Dustin stands protectively beside me, holding me closer in his arms. My king, I swear had I known, Denali stutters. No one knew. I knew the hunters would come after her. Only those in my castle knew her true identity, and you have not only harmed my pregnant mate but broke the very laws you are supposed to uphold, Kyson booms. We were only, Mr. Crux says, but one look from Kyson makes him shut up. Looking for a way to punish me, I am not stupid. I know the council has been looking for a reason to take me down for centuries. Had she mentioned who she was, I know you would have killed her before I got here, but now that I am. Who dares to answer the question I asked? My king, my brother didn't know. Surely, you can't punish him for such an innocent mistake, Larkin interjects, rushing forward in defense of his sibling. Kyson turns his gaze towards Denali's brother. He should have considered the consequences of laying a hand on the Empress of Alphas, Kyson growls, his foot coming down on Denali's head with a brutal stomp. Larkin wails in agony as his brother's skull is crushed beneath Kyson's unyielding force. Mr. Crux lunges at Larkin, grabbing him before he can reach Kyson. The sight is too much for me to bear, and I lurch forward in Dustin's arms, vomiting as brain matter splatters onto the ground. Ignoring Larkin's anguished cries, Kyson turns his attention back to me, gently taking me from Dustin's embrace. "SHH, I've got you now," Kyson whispers, his voice filled with tenderness. The sparks emanating from his skin provide a soothing sensation that eases the pain coursing through my body. "I suggest you leave. Enough council members have died. Dustin, take her to the dungeons." Cassandra screams and tries to run, but Dustin grabs her quickly, and Kyson turns to the rest of the Leaken still on their knees. "Kill the lot of them," he says as my head rolls back, and I see what's left of Cassandra's pack start running. Their screams ring out loudly when Kyson turns on his heel and walks toward the castle. Kyson lifts me higher, burying his face in my neck. The sparks from his skin soothe the pain coursing through me. "Hang on, love, I will take care of you," he purrs. Kyson. Azalea whimpers as she jostles in my arms. Her blood streams down my arms as I make my way to the bedroom. I kick the doors open, and they bang against the walls. Dustin comes rushing in behind me, runs past me and toward the bathroom, shoving the door open and turning the shower on. Not only is she losing an alarming amount of blood, but I know those barbs are dipped in wolfsbane and water hemlock, which are used to prevent healing. Water pours from the shower head, and Dustin turns to me. He uses his claws to shred what's left of her dress, letting it fall away in tatters to the floor. "Give her here, you shift," he says, holding his arms out for her. I pass her to him. She's like a rag doll in his arms, her body flopping around as he steps into the shower, forcing her back under the spray to rinse the poison off her while I shift. Using one hand, he turns the other shower head on, turning the head and aiming it at her back. Moments later, Liam runs in, looking worse for wear. I don't even care that they're all seeing her. My sole focus is on stopping the wolfsbane from soaking into her system and killing our baby. "What do you need?" Liam asks. "Alcohol," I tell him, knowing I am about to ingest whatever was in her system, and hopefully, the alcohol would burn it out. "On it," he says, disappearing out the door. Dustin's arm moves to the back of her neck and the other under her ass, exposing her back to me, and I waste no time running my tongue over her wounds, healing them and sucking the poison out where the barbs had dug into her flesh and ripped off her skin in chunks. A growl escapes me, the wolfsbane burning my throat, and I heave, retching when I get a huge mouthful of it. My hand hits the wall, steadying me as I throw up before returning to heal the other 2 long gashes up her back. Her wounds eventually close, and I know the wolfsbane and water hemlock are gone, or she wouldn't have healed. My throat is now on fire, and I press my face under the stream, banging my head on the shower head because I am taller than it in this form. Liam rushes back in with a bottle of tequila. Not my go-to, but it will do. He breaks the cap, thrusting the bottle at me, and I grab it, retching again as my surroundings spin. Suddenly, I'm seeing double. My legs give out under me when I am forced to shift back, my ass hitting the hard tiled floor in the process. "Take her," Dustin says, passing Azalea off to Liam. Liam grabs her, wrapping a towel around her before disappearing out the door as Dustin crouches over my gasping figure. My lungs feel like they have been engulfed in flames, my blood boiling in my veins. He pries my mouth open just as Liam comes in. Dustin pries my eyelids open, his hair and clothes both drenched as he looks down at me. He looks over his shoulder at Liam. "Azalea." I mumble. "Damien just got here. He is with her. He sent for a doctor." I nod or try to. Dustin grips my jaw, yet my arms feel numb as I try to lift the bottle to my lips. Liam snatches the bottle from my hand. "Come on, big fella, down the hatch it goes," he says, tipping the tequila down my throat. I gasp, breathing it in, and choke and sputter as it goes down the wrong pipe. Now, none of that. "Dustin can give you some pointers on how to swallow if needed," Liam mocks, earning a menacing growl from Dustin. Liam pours more in my mouth this time, not waterboarding me with it. I gulp it down, feeling it warm my stomach and entire body. Ghastly stuff, yet I can feel it diluting the poison I had ingested. I feel it working through my system, not that it makes me feel any better. My head lolls forward as the poison burns out, leaving me faced and on the verge of passing out drunk. Liam slaps my face with his hand, tilting my head back. My eyes try to close, and he smirks, chugging the rest of the bottle before passing the now empty bottle to Dustin. Never thought I would see the day when I had to carry you over the threshold bridal style, he chuckles, grabbing me and tossing me over his shoulder, jostling me in such a way that the tequila threatens to come back up. Caveman style, what can I say? I am a barbarian, Liam chuckles. Pretty ugly bride, though, he laughs, slapping my ass. If I could, I would hit him for that. This man is a handful sometimes. It's like he doesn't have an off switch. I know he swings both ways, but he really toes the line, that's for sure. He walks out of the room, dropping me on the bed. Meanwhile, Damien comes into view on top of me, chucking a towel over my waist and prying my eyelids open. Counsel, I mutter. Gone, those that showed from the pack are dead. Cassandra is in dungeons, Damien says. I sigh. Rest. I have everything handled. She knows now, I try to tell him, and his eyes dart past me. I try to turn my head to see her, but it feels ridiculously heavy. She does, but you have the bond. She loves you, Kyson, Damien says. Yet, that isn't my worry. Once she figures out her alpha voice, she outranks me. Yet even that doesn't worry me. I could still control her with the calling, the one thing she could never resist. What worries me is her realizing I kept it from her. I'm not even sure why I did that. Probably because I figured she had the power to leave me if she really wanted to. Empress of Alphas could not be tied by a bond, she could walk away, and I would be destroyed and powerless to stop her. I couldn't lose her. Yet now it would be out, everyone would know, and they would come for her. It was only a matter of time. Her blood was more precious than gold, and if she shares the same gifts as her mother, I know she had one trait of her father's. But if she obtained both, they would come for her. Come for her and our baby. Her blood was the key to putting the werewolf and lichen species into extinction, or it could be their salvage. If the hunters get wind of her, they will never stop, and without a doubt, I will spend the rest of my life fighting to keep her safe. Abby Gannon tells me Azalea has been hurt because of me. Well, he doesn't say directly that it's my fault, but that's how it feels. She wouldn't be in this situation if not for me. The weight of guilt settles heavily on my shoulders as I realize she might have been spared if I had just listened to everybody and never followed Cade. It frustrates me that even in death, Cade's influence lingers, casting shadows over my present, and preventing me from moving on. Gannon's phone rings suddenly, and my gaze darts to where it rests. Damien's face illuminates the screen, prompting Gannon to pull the car over to take his call. A sense of nervousness grows within me. Damien rarely calls instead of using the mind link unless it's urgent. I recall how Gannon reacted when informed about the council through the mind link, nearly causing an accident. Perhaps that explains why Damien is opting for a conventional call this time. Gannon steps out of the car and perches on the hood while speaking on the phone. He steals a glance back at me through the window with a hint of nervousness before turning away. His voice escalates in tone as he paces away from me, his words muffled by distance. We are pulled over on a rough stretch of highway, the relentless stream of passing cars causing our vehicle to shudder. Gannon, his frustration palpable, runs a hand through his disheveled hair before turning his gaze back to the car. Sensing the drop in temperature and the gusts of wind outside, I reach over the back seat to retrieve his jacket, my fingers brushing against the cool leather. With a swift motion, I pull it on and step out of the car, yearning to stretch my legs after hours of confinement. The prolonged sitting has left my senses dulled, my rear numb from the seat. Raising my arms above my head to stretch, I pace around the front of the car while Gannon distances himself, engaging in a heated conversation with Damien. Leaning against the sleek hood, I observe him closely, catching only fragments of his heated argument. You should have eliminated her. By doing so, you could undo all that I have painstakingly accomplished. Gannon snaps into his phone, his voice laced with frustration. He abruptly ends the call and growls under his breath before locking eyes with me. I rummage in his jacket pocket, finding some red sugar clouds. He always had candy on him. Yet, I never see him eat it. I shrug. More for myself. I giggle, opening the little bag and pulling one out while he lights up a smoke. Everything all right? I ask him, and he nods. It will be, he says, wandering over to me. You found my stash, he laughs, pointing to the red sugary clouds in my hand. I smile, popping another in my mouth. You always have them, yet you never eat them. I chuckle, the tips of my fingers tinged red from digging them out of the bag. Sugar coats my lips, and I quickly lick them, savoring the sweet taste. I don't like sweets, he laughs. Then why buy them? I ask. I buy them for you. I know they're your favorite, he says, and I let out a breath. A shudder runs through me as I think of the only time we were offered sweets, and each time it was a lie. I shake the thought away. What? He asks. Nothing, you had me worried for a second, I thought. I shake my head, not understanding why my mind went there. You thought what? He asks. Nothing, it was a stupid thought, just don't worry about it, I tell him. His brows furrow, and he draws back on his smoke, watching me before blowing a smoke cloud in the air. How much further? I ask him. About 3 hours. Why, anxious to get away from me, he chuckles. No. I roll my eyes. Come on then, let's go, he says, holding out his hand. I slide off the hood, and he walks around, opening my door. I shake my head, unsure if he just likes opening doors or thinks I don't know how to open them for myself. I shake my head and climb into the car. We drive, listening to the radio for a while. After a while, he seems off, like something is very wrong. His aura is all over the place. I pull the candy from my pocket again, and he glances at me. What were you thinking before? He asks, and I look at him. He points to the bag in my hand. I don't want to answer, suddenly feeling ashamed for even thinking about it. I know Gannon, and he isn't that sort of monster. What did Damien want earlier? I ask, wanting to change the subject. Gannon glances at me, his hands tightening on the steering wheel. I'll answer when you do, he retorts, and I sigh. I turn my gaze to the window, watching the scenery go by. So, he asks. I shrug, turning back to look at him. When Azalea and I were little, the butcher used to offer us candy to help him in the basement. We never did. He always gave us strange vibes. We always thought there was something off with him, so when he would ask, we used to tell him Mrs. Daly gave us chores, which she did anyway, so it wasn't technically a lie. You thought I was a creep? He asks appalled, as he should be. No one would like being thought of that way, which makes me feel guilty. However, I couldn't help when the memories flowed in, uninvited. No, just when you said you didn't eat candy, it came to mind. It's just where my mind went for some reason. Well, I am definitely not a pedophile. That I can assure you, and do you mean Doyle, that same butcher? I cringe hearing his name but nod, looking back out the window. All that seems like a lifetime ago, yet at the same time, I will always remember every detail, remember it like it was yesterday. It only needs the right thing to trigger it and bring it to the forefront of my mind. He's dead now. You don't have to worry about him, Gannon says, and I swallow. It's my fault, though. I went down to the basement with him. I knew I shouldn't have, but Mrs. Daly said she wouldn't feed us for a week if I didn't help him bring the meat down to the freezers. I clench my eyes, my stomach turning. I shouldn't have gone down there. We always made sure we were never around and made sure we were busy when the butcher came to drop the meat off. We both knew something was off about him, I tell him. Then why did you? Gannon asks. My bottom lip quivers. Because if I didn't, she would have made Azalea. We hadn't eaten in 3 days. Mrs. Daly used to make us share whatever scraps were left over. But this time, we had gone a while without food. There was nothing left over. She used food against you? Gannon asks, and I nod. Mrs. Daly said if I helped him stack the freezers, we could make ourselves a plate and eat with the rest of the children, so I went down there. She said we would have got lashings if I didn't. If I had known what was waiting for me, I would have taken those instead, but we were hungry, and Azalea's back was badly torn up already. She couldn't take more lashings, and some were down to the bone. I just didn't expect what I got when I went down there. I whisper the last part. Abby, that doesn't make it your fault, Gannon says. And afterward, he asks, and I stare, unblinking out the windshield for a second before my gaze goes to my fingers as I pick at the skin. Azalea found me afterward. We cooked dinner, and she fed us. We were allowed a bowl of rice to share. Both of us were starving, yet neither of us touched it. That was the payment, a bowl of rice. A tear escapes, knowing my worth to her was a bowl of rice. Mrs. Daly then called us ungrateful, and Azalea, taking a deep breath, I shut my eyes as the guilt rolls over me in waves. Shame stains my thoughts, knowing she bore over half of her cuts that day because of me. She was punished for our refusal. My voice comes out weaker than intended. It was supposed to be just 5 lashes, cruel nevertheless, but more bearable. Mrs. Daly made it 40. Was supposed to be 5. Gannon's question pulls me from my haunted memory. A slight nod is all I manage while battling the fresh onslaught of guilt at recalling how much she suffered for me. Yes. Swallowing hard, I managed to find my voice again. She threw a bowl at Azalea when we defied her at dinner. It shattered against her face. The sharp edge left a trail down Azalea's face and cleaved her eyebrow in two. With a shuddering breath, I vividly picture the gnarled cane with its intimidating whip wrapped around the handle usually brandished exclusively for Azalea. My own quiet sob breaks through the silence piped in the horror of what Azalea had endured on behalf of my defiance that night, willingly bearing punishment destined for me. What happened? Gannon asks. Mrs. Daly gave her the 5 lashings, but when it was my turn, Azalea, my face burns with shame at my next words. It hurt, I couldn't sit, it hurt too much. Azalea was already hurt, and she still did it. What did she do? Gannon asks. I chew my lip and glance out the window as that night burns through my vision like I was right there all over again, witnessing it. She attacked Mrs. Daly so she wouldn't hit me with the cane. Gannon glances at me, probably shocked at what he is hearing because it shocked me back then too. I believed Mrs. Daly would kill her. Azalea's back was bleeding everywhere. Her cuts from the day before had reopened. Mrs. Daly told me to straddle the chair, usually she made us stand for lashings. But she said her back was sore and wanted to make sure we didn't move on her. A startled laugh comes out of me. Her back was sore, that woman didn't know the meaning of a sore back, I chuckle. Abby? Gannon asks, pulling me back from wherever I drifted off. I suck in a breath, remembering I am supposed to be explaining what happened. I told her I couldn't sit, and she tried to shove me in the chair. When she grabbed me, Azalea slapped her. I was so shocked I just stood there. We were petrified of that woman, yet Azalea slapped her. Mrs. Daly slapped her back, knocking her to the ground, where she whipped her 5 more times. I peer out the window, my mind going back to that haunted place. But then, when Mrs. Daly turned back to punish me, she got back up and hit her again, this time knocking Mrs. Daly over. Tears burn my eyes, and I can still see the blood gushing from Azalea's face where the bowl hit her. I had never seen that much blood before. It ran down her arms and legs, staining her clothes. I gave her my own clothes because I couldn't bear to wear them anymore. Mrs. Daly already whacked her good for that before dinner for wasting clothes. Only to suffer more for me. Mrs. Daly smacked her head on the coffee table. She had a nasty bump. She then sent me to my room, but I stayed on the stairs. Mrs. Daly said Azalea was going to get 40 lashings for messing up her face before the alpha visit. But it was so much more than that. 40 lashings? Gannon asked, shocked. He growls when I nod casually. Most of the scars Azalea has are because of me. She always took most of my punishments after that. Mrs. Daly was brutal with her. That night, Azalea collapsed on the ground, and I watched as she just kept whipping her over and over until she wasn't moving. I thought she was dead. I waited for Mrs. Daly to leave, and I helped her clean up as she did me, I tell him. The car is silent for a few seconds until I can't handle his silence or his burning aura any longer. So, what did Damien want? I ask him, changing the subject. They have Cassandra in the dungeons, Gannon answers, and I gulp, biting on my lip to stop it quivering. It's up to you what they do with her. That's what Damien called about. I get to choose her punishment. I ask, horrified. Ganon grips the steering wheel tighter, his knuckles turning white under pressure. You don't have to do anything, you don't want to. You don't even have to see her if you don't want to. I can handle it when we get back, but it is up to you, Ganon says. I swallow and nod. And the council? Kyson killed Denali and Kendrick. The other two he let go. Why would he let them go? I ask, confused. Because Mr. Crux has immunity, despite Kyson hating him. He also left Lark alive to serve as a reminder that no one is untouchable. Denali and Larkin are from very prominent families. What do you mean Mr. Crux has immunity? He has immunity because he is Azalea's cousin, Ganon tells me. Then why isn't he ruling then? I ask confused. Because he is an illegitimate child to Garrett's brother. Plus, Kyson always held out hope Azalea was alive and that one day he would find her. He refused to believe she was dead until he had proof, Ganon tells me. What do you mean? The Landeenas kept her a secret. Kyson knew he would be betrothed to any daughter they had, but for some reason, they never told anyone she was born. We never knew until we heard of their slaughter. So why did he think she would be alive? Because Landeena's blood is special. When we learned there was a child, and we couldn't find her, we at first thought the hunters took her. But if hunters killed them, why would they want to keep the child? Because Landeenas are venomous, Ganon says, and my brows furrow. I look at him, and he sighs. Landeena blood is more potent than even the king's, he adds. I am not sure what you are saying, I confess. They were the only ones that could make a human a lichen. Lichens like me, can turn a normal werewolf into a lichen, but the Landeenas could change a human into a lichen. His words shock me. Wait. Does Azalea know this? I ask, and Ganon shakes his head. And you can't tell her, Abby. Let Kyson do that. I am not going to lie to her. I'm not asking you to. I'm just saying don't mention it unless she says something, just don't deliberately mention it. Give Kyson a chance to tell her first. Why are they different, though? Because they were the first lichens. They were created by gods, or so the story goes anyway. So the moon goddess. Ganon nods. But if hunters wanted to get rid of lichens, why would they want to become one? Same reason anyone would, to gain immortality. Landeena and azure blood is the only blood that could make humans immortal. We believe that is why her parents kept her hidden from everyone except those in the castle. They were worried someone would try to take her, I state with a sigh. And they did, Ganon says. So what? She just has to bite them. Yes, there is more to it though. For me to change you, I only have to mark you and, he pauses for a second, but I note his hesitation when he changes what he is going to say. It is part of the reason Kyson wouldn't do it. You could sire to him and basically become an extra mate. It's rare for that to happen when you already have a mate, but it has happened in the past, Ganon explains. Can Azalea do it? I ask thoughtfully. Ganon clenches his jaw but nods. Yes, but I would rather change you myself. I know, but you think you aren't worthy of me, but you are. I am the one not worthy of you, Abby. I want to be with you. I don't care about your past or that has happened. I told you I could wait for anything more as long as I can have you as mine. The rest we can figure out. Just let me love you. That is all I am asking for, he says, cutting me off. I can feel his anger simmering below the surface. Join our Facebook and WhatsApp group for more updates, link is given in description. Rest audiobook will be continued in next episode.